Welcome, everybody. This is Mark Fisher, and this is our channel, our Scientology Stories, Peeling the Onion. And I'm here today. I've got a guest host. My normal host, Janice Gillum-Grady, she's out of town until Saturday, so she'll be back on Sunday. We'll be doing a live stream. But I was really happy that somebody that a lot of you know was willing to be my guest host today. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Denver Steve-O. Hi, Steve. How you doing?
Oh, very good, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Doing fine.
Hi, everybody.
I appreciate. Hi, everybody. Hey, let us know where you're watching from. I see somebody from Atlanta, Georgia. Somebody said I think they were from Ireland or whatever. But let us know in the chat. We're doing a live stream here, and what we're going to do is the way the show's going to go is we're going to just talk just a little bit, Denver, Steve-O, and I, and then I've got a tribute to my mother. It's her 93rd birthday on Sunday, and I'd like to tell her story regarding Scientology. So I hope that you all will enjoy that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a giveaway, a merchandise giveaway right before we go to question and answers. So if you've got questions, just go ahead and put them in the chat, write question. Of course, you can super chat us and super sticker us. We always appreciate that. I see people from San Diego here, somebody from Spain, Huntsville, Alabama, Fairfield, California. Juliana Bittencourt is here, and she's in Brazil, right? Is that right, Denver Steve-O?
She is from Brazil. That is true.
Isn't it correct, Mark?
Oh, goodness. I broke it. Oh, correct, Mark. I was prepping for it, too. Oh, drats. Correct, Mark. Correct.
That's okay. We got our new sample of, this is our black coffee mug here. It's got the Mofo Mark logo on it here. So that's available now on our merchandise site. And then also, of course, we've got our white one here with our logo, Scientology, our Scientology Stories, Peeling the Onion. And on the other side, it says, right, Janice. And today it should say, right, Denver Steve-O?
Correct, Mark.
Anyway, we're going to do a merchandise giveaway right before we go to question and answers. And then you guys can ask us whatever you like, and we'll be happy to talk about it. And, we'll having fun, okay? So we'll go ahead and do that. Hi from Norway. Wow. Fantastic. Welcome. I know we've got some more people from California and different places like that too. So Steve-O, I know some of the people in the chat, they know who you are, but why don't you tell those that don't know what's your connection to, the Never Ends or Scientology or the website or that type of thing. Go ahead.
Sure. So I am one of the Never Ends. I like to say there's 7.6 billion Never Ends across the globe, but I've had the fortune of being one of of our notorious Never Ends, which is comprised of the Godfather himself, Clearwater Chad, Marilyn Honig from Coffee, Cults, and Crafts, Juliana Bittencourt, and myself. So we do a show after the Monday night shows. It's called our after show or the after party. Where for a couple of hours we kind of decompress on what may have happened during the 7 o'clock show during that day. My connection to Scientology starts with probably about 95% of the Never Ends. I was really kind of pulled into it with Leah's show, with Leah Remini, Scientology and the Aftermath. I had a couple of smaller dabblings before that, but that's really what kind of brought my ears up and said, what is this? How does this? How do people get by doing this? Meaning the abuses. I completely understand why people. Why people find a group like Scientology, but these abuses, these injustices that were going on, that really shocked me. And then all of a sudden, my YouTube algorithm started pulling up Aaron Smith Levin years ago, and here I am. that's kind of what got me there. It's just I'm just somebody who injustice and abuse in itself is wrong, and Scientology is an organization that I feel really I mean, obviously even more so now, is really on that precipice. And the momentum is built, and this is a really great time to step in and say enough is enough and to actually see change. So
That's fantastic. Well, we appreciate everybody here. I had no idea that there was an audience for this, and I was like you. I watched some of AA Ron's stuff over the years, but then, I didn't realize how many people were into it. And then Janice and I just decided to start doing a channel and tell the history of Scientology, because a lot of the people that are doing channels, they got in after we left in 1990. And of course, I was around, and Janice was around when L. Ron Hubbard was alive. And also, I used to work for David Miscavige for the last 6 years that I was in Scientology. So, we had an up close and personal in terms of dealing with him, and also the way Scientology was, and how it turned to the dark side and turned bad. So that's why we decided to start doing the channel. And then who knew that Janice had all these photographs, and I've managed to pull some together too. And so we try to tell the history of Scientology as well as the abuses, and we're no longer Scientologists and that type of thing. But it's not something that we forget. So we want to make sure it's put on record and on video so people can see it.
Absolutely. And honestly, this, everybody provides some fantastic, historical information. But the fact of the matter is, this is one of the few channels that tells that early story, and that's what's kind of drawn me to you and Janice as well. And I think that's what's drawn so many of the people that are either here or be watching on the replay, because it's something that it's part of the story that we don't hear as much of, or you hear it more in lore than the actual. This is how it looked. This is how it felt. This is how it was. So
yeah,
we all appreciate that.
Thank you, Steve-O. We've got Marilyn Honig is in the house.
Marilyn.
Hi, Mark and Steve-O. Also, Kelly Copter's in the house, too. I saw her and put up her comment in there. And
Hello,
Juliana Bettencourt. Juliana Bettencourt is in here as well.
Juliana.
And Clearwater Chad, I know, is in here. So we want to welcome all of these regulars to our show. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start my presentation about my mother. Just 1 second, though. I got to open the door for my dog. I'll just be 1 sec.
Oh.
You know how it goes.
So while Mark is doing that, put one in the chat if you're here.
Fantastic. Okay, I am back now. All right. So the reason I did this is my mother's going to be 93 years young on Sunday. Her birthday is September 24th. She was born in 1930. And she's still with us. She lives here in Las Vegas, and I take care of her. And but I thought it would be a good time to basically tell her story regarding Scientology, and what her relationship was to it, and how it affected her life. Okay, in terms of how the direction it took and that type of thing. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start this up. Steve, if you've got any questions, just go ahead and stick your finger up, tell me, and then you can ask anything like that. Okay. My mother's maiden name is Stillings, Lois Stillings. Okay. This is her parents. These are my mother's. These are my grandparents, but my mother's parents. Okay. And they were born. Sorry, they both passed away the year that I was born in 1958. So I never got to meet them. And they had 9 kids. My mother was the second youngest of 9 children, born in North Dakota, at a little town called Underwood, North Dakota. And this is my mother here. She was born 24th of September 1930 in Underwood, North Dakota. Okay, and that's a small town. I just looked it up the other day. It's still only 735 people that live in Underwood. But when she grew up there, probably was less than a couple hundred. It was very small. Basically farming town in North Dakota. My grandfather, or my mother's father, he was the postman for the town. So that's what he did for a living. He was the one who delivered the mail to everybody. And My grandmother, who I never met, neither one of them I met, she basically was full-time housewife with 9 children, and her kids were separated in age. They had like, I think, 4 kids, and then they waited 10 years and then had another 5. Okay, so basically that's it was kind of a split family, but still, the older ones took care of the younger ones, and that's how it was back in the day. So that's my mother there when she was, I think, in elementary school. This is a picture of my mother's family. Uh, she is the one on the left in the white shirt with kind of like looks like Princess Leia hair on the side of her head. And behind her is her mother. And those are her 9 brothers, and, well, 8 brothers and sisters, and her makes 9. And then, of course, her father and mother are both in there. And this is in North Dakota. She was born in 1930, which was the Depression. That's when the Depression was going on after the stock market crash, and the whole country, all during the 30s, was in a worse situation than we're in right now with inflation. I mean, basically, it was hard to get work, and you had to feed a family of nine people on a postman's wage. It was very difficult. And North Dakota is very unforgiving because it's very cold in the wintertime. This is the house that she grew up in. That's my mother standing in front of it years later. That was the house that they grew up in, and they ate meals and split shifts because they had so many people. But my mom could walk into town and go to her job or go to school, and so that's where her upbringing was like. Here she is. This is her when she was in high school. She's sitting on the front porch of her house, and that's what she would look like then. And then here she is in high school. Now, this is something I didn't realize until I had to move her out of her apartment about a little over a year and a half ago into a managed care facility. But she lived on her own up until she was 91 years old. And then I had to move her into managed care. But this is her high school graduating class photograph in Underwood, North Dakota. I think it's a class of, I think it's 17 or something like that. But I didn't realize this until I found this photo, that my mother was not only the valedictorian, which is the number 1 in her class, she also was the class president, which I had no idea. I would have never known that. She never talked about it, but it was great. And they all look like they're, the 1940s. She would have graduated probably 1947 or 48, and they've got that style hair and stuff, but she looks great there. Her family, her father and mother, and the remaining kids that were her age, and she had a younger brother. They decided to move out to San Diego, California, because my mother's oldest brother, Bud, he went out to college out in San Diego, and he got into the hotel business, and he became an executive at a hotel in San Diego at a very young age. And as a matter of fact, that was his career all the way through life. He eventually became the comptroller here in Las Vegas for the Desert Inn Hotel and Casino when Howard Hughes bought it in the 1960s. And then he was also the comptroller for a big gaming company here in Las Vegas called Boyd Gaming. And they have Sam's Town and the Hotel California downtown. If anybody's been to Las Vegas, they know these hotels. And then his last job that he had is that he was the executive vice president of the Hotel del Coronado in San Diego on Coronado Beach. And that's where the movie Some Like It Hot was filmed with Marilyn Monroe and Tony Curtis and all that. So he had a long career in that. But anyway, my grandparents and my mother and all, they were sick of the cold. So he said, come out to San Diego. So they all piled into their, 1948 car, and they drove cross country and moved to San Diego. And my mother enrolled at San Diego State University. It was college then, but now San Diego State University. And she went there. And she went to school and she studied and got her degree as a Bachelor of Arts. But basically, she became a teacher. And she became an elementary school teacher in San Diego, in Oceanside, which is just north of San Diego. She was teaching elementary school for a couple of years. And then when she was like 24, 25 years old, that's when she met my father, who was in the Navy. My dad had graduated college during the beginning of the Korean War, and then he enlisted in the U.S. Navy. And he was in the Navy first as an enlisted man as a sailor, and then eventually became an officer. And my mother and father, they met by being pen pals. I guess that was the internet dating of the day. You know what I mean? It's like they didn't have any internet, or any dating sites. So it was basically, oh, why don't you write to this military person, and vice versa, and back and forth. And they wrote letters, and that's how they met, was through writing letters. And then eventually they got married. Okay. And here is a picture of my father and my mother, looking beautiful, sitting on the lawn there. And that's my dad in his uniform. And this was right around the time that they got married in 1955. So my dad was an officer by that point, and there was my mother. So shortly thereafter, my mother got pregnant with my older sister, Betsy. And that's my mother on the right there holding my sister as an infant. And on the sitting next to my mother to the right is her nanny in Japan. Because my dad was in the military and in the Navy, they had to, he got stationed over in Japan and outside of Tokyo. And so they decided, well, let's fly my mother and my sister over to Japan, because he was going to be there for quite a little bit of time. So on the left there, you see my mother's passport. I'd never seen it before. That's her passport photo. And then when she was in Japan, they had a housekeeper, nanny, that type of thing. And that's a picture there of my mother holding my sister Betsy and the nanny in there. After that, they moved back to the United States, because in the military you get transferred around. Here's my mother and my father, and that's my sister Betsy at Christmas time. And then this is a photo of my mother with my sister Betsy. And then lo and behold, a couple years later, in 1958, that is me, my mother holding me. Mofo Mark.
There you are.
On the right is a picture of me. It says I'm 4 months old, little tubby there. And then on the left, of course, that's my mother holding me. Anyway, so that was 1958. So my mother was a stay-at-home mom. She was a housewife during that time. She gave up her career teaching, and she was a stay-at-home mom. Okay. So here we are there. That's my mother on the left, of course, my father. And that's me, Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky. And here's a picture of my mother, my sister, and me. And then on the right is my mother and me. Since my dad was active duty Navy, he was at sea. Like, he'd go on tours for like six months at a time. We were first located in Long Beach, California. So my mother would get these photographs, like the one on the left there is a professional photograph. She'd have pictures taken and send them in letters to my dad at sea. And this, of course, this is in the late 1950s, early 60s. So my dad was over in, over near Vietnam at the beginnings of the Vietnam War, but he was at sea and on ships and stuff. So my mom would get these pictures taken here. Then we moved to San Diego, California, and that's where my dad's, ship was stationed at the time. He became the executive officer of the ship. And that's, of course, my mom, my sister, and my dad is holding me. And then my brother was born in 1962. That's my mother holding my younger brother, Doug. And that's me, of course, rocking the Hawaiian shirt. See, that's what I'm saying, man.
There it is.
The Hawaiian shirt, all these years. And I still rock it to this day.
Yes, you do.
And I forgot to compliment you, Steve-O, on your Hawaiian shirt.
Oh, thank you. And coincidentally, we both hit greens. So
that's right. That's right. So that's, of course, my sister, my brother, and my mother and me. And so we were in San Diego. So then we became the four of us. And my father, again, he was at sea, and my mother would get pictures taken and send them out to us. And so that's us in San Diego. And that's the same thing. Then we moved to Hawaii. My dad got stationed in Hawaii in 1964. And we moved from San Diego to Hawaii when I was 6 years old. And I lived there till I was almost 10 years old. And that's a picture of my mom and dad in Hawaii. He was stationed outside of Pearl Harbor. He had actually, it was a base that he was in. It was an underground tunnel near Wheeler Air Force Base in Hawaii, which they built after World War II. And it's a tunnel underground so that it would withstand any kind of nuclear or whatever. And my dad was in Navy intelligence at the time. And this was the mid 60s during the Cold War. So that's where he was at. But we lived right outside Pearl Harbor on the island of Oahu.
You were rocking the Hawaiian shirt before you got to Hawaii. That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's something.
I think I was a Hawaiian in another life, or maybe I was a sailor in another life and went to Hawaii. But yeah, no, I love Hawaii.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. No, I agree.
Here's another picture of my dad and my mom in Hawaii. And my dad, because he was an officer on a ship, they would go to different events and at Pearl Harbor and that type of thing where they had to dress up. And you can see my mom and dad on the left, and on the right at two different, military balls or gatherings or whatever. And then this is my mom and dad in Hawaii. That's in our house in Hawaii. You see a piano there. My mother took piano from the age of like 8, and she played the piano all her life. As a matter of fact, she still has a piano in her room at the group home that she's in. And she always played piano, and she also sang in the choir up until about 4 or 5 years ago. She would sing in the choir wherever town she was in. And I'll tell you a quick funny story. My mother, at one point, I didn't know this, but when I was in the Sea Org, my parents had gotten divorced by that time. And my mother used to go hang out at a local restaurant and bar with friends, and they had a piano. And so my mom got up there and played the piano, and the restaurant bar owner liked her so much, they wanted her to come play once a week and play songs and sing. So she did. And she played for tips, and she did pretty good. I had no idea. She told me that story years later. But anyway, we then moved to Washington, D.C. in 1969, and then she was there all the way till 1999 in the Washington, D.C. area. And this is where I tell people I'm from. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area because that's where I went to high school and graduated high school. And that's where we got in Scientology, and also I joined the Sea Organization from there. Here's pictures of us in Washington, D.C. back in the 70s with those groovy colors. Yes. Here's a family picture of us around that same time. And I love the tie and the suit and all that. But this is, again, the 1970s. Great fashion sense here. We did a cross-country trip, driving across country. This is in the Wisconsin Dells. And they had these duck boats that you could ride on. That's my brother, my mother, and I. And then this is up in the Colorado Rockies on that cross-country trip. And then 1976, that's the year that I graduated high school, and I decided to join Scientology and the Sea Organization. Now, my parents got divorced in 1976, and the reason is they didn't really ever talk to us about it, but Scientology was the main contributor to it. In 1972 or 73, my dad read the book Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health. He found it in a drugstore and he read it. My dad was always searching for the meaning of life. Before that, he'd gotten, involved in other things like hypnotism and different churches and things like that. So he was always looking. He read Dianetics, and he got hooked right away. He went into the founding Church of Scientology in Washington, D.C., and he started getting Scientology processing, and then he started doing Scientology training. All during this time, we didn't know that that's what he was doing. He just would do it after he got off work at night, and he would go into the organization and do that. So he did that for about a year, and he was hooked, okay? Eventually, he went all the way up to the old OT7, the old top of the OT levels at that time, and he got trained up to be through the St. Hill Special Briefing Course. He became a Class 6 Scientology auditor, all on his own. He was a public person and did all this, right? So after about a year, he took my mom in, apparently, and he thought this would be good for her, and she didn't like it immediately. So she just refused to go. She wouldn't go to the organization. But he took me in and took my sister in, and my brother was still too young, but I took to it immediately. I got some Scientology processing that he paid for, and it made me a different person, to be honest with you. It actually improved my life at the time. And I did the communications course, and I did other Scientology training at that Scientology organization in Washington, D.C. while I was in high school. I worked at the Times. The Scientology processing was inexpensive. It was $500 for 12 and a half hours of processing. And then because I was under 18, they gave me a discount. So it was like $325 for 12 and a half hours for me. So in the summertime, I would work and earn money. And then the money that I earned, my dad didn't want to pay for he thought, Scientology says, oh, you're out exchange if you don't pay for things yourself. So the money I saved up, I then in the fall, I would go to the Scientology organization, and I got my Scientology processing, and I got all the way up the grade chart up to grade 4, which is the lower grades and stuff like that, and they really helped me, and I got hooked. I became a true believer during that time, to the point where rather than going to college in 1976, I was accepted at 3 universities. I decided to join the Sea Organization, and that's a whole nother subject. But I joined because I wanted to work for L. Ron Hubbard, and so I left in July 1976 and moved to Clearwater, Florida. Became David Miscavige's roommate at the time, and the rest is stories that I've told before. But how did this affect my mother? Okay, my dad, he got involved in Scientology, and because my mother, would not get involved, I'm sure that Scientology said, oh, she's suppressing you and holding you back, and she's making you a potential trouble source. We've all heard those stories about other people. I've never had my father or my mother tell me that, but I know how they act, and I guarantee you that's what happened. And so my dad basically said, oh, we're grown apart and we're going to get divorced. And so they got divorced, around the time that I graduated from high school. But they didn't tell us kids until after I already had joined the Sea Organization that they got divorced. So at the age of 46 years old, in 1976, my mom had to go back into the workforce. And she had not worked since she was 25 years old. And she had to figure out what the heck she was going to do with her life. Okay. And so she got a job working at a local school as a secretary. And then eventually she got into accounting, like business accounting. And then she eventually worked for a company called Merrill Lynch, which was a big real estate company doing office accounting of petty cash. And then the last place that she worked for years was a company called Electronic Data Systems, EDS. And that was Ross Perot's company. Ross Perot, the guy who ran for president in 1992. It was one of the first computerization companies for the U.S. government. And my mother worked in that and in the accounting office up until she retired in 1999. And so that's what she did. But my mother made it go right. You know what I mean? She's a survivor, and that's one of the reasons why I'm telling the story. She didn't let her divorce get her down, right? But it hurt her very badly that her husband basically left. He got remarried to another woman who was a Scientologist. And then my dad moved to New Jersey and became the executive director of the Scientology mission, where Ron Miscavige brought his family into Scientology before we got up there. So there's a lot of like intertwining things here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my mother
world.
stuck to it. Yeah. So my sister got involved in Scientology too, and she didn't join staff. She became a public Scientologist, meaning somebody who paid for services. This is a photograph of me. In 1979, my sister was going to get married, and that's me on a leave. I took a leave, like a 3-week leave from the Sea Organization. You could do that back then. And so that's me on the right there, and my mother on the left, and my sister standing, and she's getting married. So I came up to Virginia, Northern Virginia, for her wedding. Here's a picture of me, my sister and her husband. His name was Mark Perkins. He was a public Scientologist, and some people may know him or know of him. He's still in Scientology. And that's my sister when they got married. My mother standing next to my sister. And between my mother and my sister in the back, that's me in the monkey suit at her wedding. This is a picture of my mother with my sister Betsy and her husband Mark in San Diego. My sister, she studied concert piano, and she was a piano major at Syracuse University. And then she became a piano teacher in the Washington, D.C. area. She made good money doing that. And then her and Mark, because her husband, because they were Scientologists, they thought, well, let's move to California because we need to be closer to Scientology out there. So they moved to the Los Angeles area, and they became public Scientologists. He was a contractor and built, restaurants and buildings and stuff. And then she taught piano all over Beverly Hills and that type of thing. So that was my sister and her husband. Next. Okay. My father left Scientology in 1979. he got declared along with my brother because they shut down the mission in New Jersey that he was the head of. And the reason he did it was because my dad, as always, thought, well, Scientology is really not the answer. I've gone all the way up to the top, and so I'm going to get involved in this other cult. And the other cult is called Ramtha. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Ramtha, but it's this lady named J.Z. Knight, and you can look her up on YouTube. And Ramtha, basically, this lady, J.Z. Knight, she channels, which is basically takes on the personality and beingness of this ancient warrior named Ramtha. Okay. And so this is how crazy my dad was in terms of searching for stuff. Everybody at the Scientology mission in New Jersey, they went along with them, and they all joined this group called Ramtha, and they moved away from New Jersey and shut down. So the Guardian's office declared them suppressive people. I was in the Sea Organization at the time, and in Clearwater, Florida, and my goal in life was to work for L. Ron Hubbard. So when they found out about this, they pulled me in. They wanted to find out, well, what are you going to do? Your dad's in this SP group, suppressive group. What are you going to do? And of course, me being a dedicated Scientologist and only thinking about myself at the time, thought I want to work for L. Ron Hubbard, and I can't if I'm connected to my dad. So what I do, I disconnected from my father and my brother. My brother was 16 years old. He'd done one course in Scientology. He was living with my dad, and he got declared a suppressive person too at age of 16. Okay. So pretty crazy, right, Steve-O?
Yeah. Is that just because he stayed with your father?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Anyway, so they went off. So I basically stayed in the Sea Organization all the way up until 1990 when I left. So for about 12 years, I was disconnected from my father and my brother. And then after I got out in 1990, I still was afraid of going to my father because of this other cult that he was involved in. And I still was a true believer in Scientology, even though I had, was left the Sea Organization. I was at the top of the Scientology bridge at the time. I'd gone all the way up to OT7 myself. So I wasn't worried about him revealing confidential material. I mean, that was the thing, Mark Headley talks about, like on the South Park episode, they talk about, oh, if you read the material, you're going to get pneumonia. That's what L. Ron Hubbard said. Well, we really believe that. When you're in and you're sucked in, you believe that, right? So I was afraid that my dad was going to tell me stuff that was going to, negatively affect me. Anyway, my sister and I both disconnected from my father. My sister was a public Scientologist, and I disconnected as well. Anyway, after I got out, a couple of years after that, I, peeling the onion, decided, okay, I need to get back in touch with my father and my brother. So we did. We reconnected, and this is a photograph of me and my brother and my dad in 1993. Near Mount Rainier. That's Mount Rainier in Washington State behind us. My dad had moved with his wife to Washington State, which is where Ramtha and J.Z. Knight were located. And he had a farm there, and he was retired. And so I went with my brother, and I was afraid to go. So I had my brother come because I'd met up with him before that. And then also I came with a woman named Stacy Young, who some people may know as Stacy Young, Stacy Brooks, Stacy Kellerhouse. She was one of the first people to ever speak out about David Miscavige, L. Ron Hubbard, and Scientology, her and her husband, Robert Vaughn Young. And I was really close to them. And so Stacy lived in Seattle at the time. So she came with me and my brother to go see my father. And she took this photograph, and that's her dog, Maggie, at the time. So that's just sort of another story. We're going to do another video on Stacy Young and Vaughn Young, because they are old guard critics who spoke out on television, 60 Minutes and all this stuff way, way, way before anybody else did. And they got fair game big time. And of course, she eventually got connected with the Lisa McPherson incident in Clearwater. And anyway, that's a side story that we'll tell another time. Anyway, so I reconnected with my father and my brother. Unfortunately, my dad, I went and saw him a couple of times, but he passed away in November 1996 at the age of 66. He died young. From his mesothelioma, which is, from asbestos what is it, asbestos, contact. And we didn't know it at the time, but my dad, in the summertime when he was in college, he worked at an asbestos plant carrying asbestos. So nobody knew it was dangerous. But then years later, you get all these things, and he had tumors all over his body, and he passed away. So anyway, that's that story. So my mom, was on her own. She still was living in Washington, D.C. And my younger brother, Doug, he got out of that cult, Ramtha, and he decided instead, he went to college, and he's a professional musician. He went to the Eastman School of Music. He plays the bassoon. He's a classical musician. And after he graduated from Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York, he got a position with the Columbus, Ohio Symphony Orchestra as a bassoonist. And he's been there ever since. He's been there for probably 40 some odd years as a bassoonist in Columbus, Ohio in the symphony orchestra. And he also is the president of the Musicians Union in Columbus, Ohio, for the entire city, for all musicians. And he's done that for probably 25 years. He's very, very successful, and he's a great musician and stuff. So that's the direction my brother took. Anyway, so that's the story on that. So my mother, again, in the 1990s, I brought her out. She came to visit, and this is me and my mother visiting. Her sisters had a family reunion in San Diego, so we all came to see the different aunts and uncles. And this is my mom's family, her brothers and sisters that were still alive, and there's 8 of them there. Their youngest brother, Rich, at the time, I'm not sure if he'd passed away, but he had mental problems, and he had been in an asylum for a long time. But anyway, these were the 8 Stillings kids, and you can see my mom is the second one in from the left. And my mom is the only one still alive. She's the last of all. Unfortunately, all of my uncles and aunts, they've all passed away. They lived to an old age, but they've all passed away. My mom's the last living child from my grandparents. So, but anyway, we came out here. That's them in a family reunion. She retired and moved out to Las Vegas in 1990, July 1999. Sorry. She didn't know what she wanted to do. She was 69 years old. And so I said, why don't you come out here to Las Vegas? And it's a good place to retire so she could be close to me and that type of thing. So she moved out here to Las Vegas in July 1999. And this is me and her when she came out. I'm rocking the beard in those days. And I had dark hair. That's my natural color hair. Okay. I went blonde the year later. And the reason is because you saw my photos as a kid. As a kid, I was a blondie, okay, and I didn't turn brown until after I was after I was in high school and after high school. So at the time in 2001, I thought, I got blonde eyebrows. Well, let's go Billy Idol blonde. So that's when I went blonde, and I've been blonde ever since. But that's me with the beard, and my mom, and when she was here in Las Vegas. That's my mom with her sisters. Left to right, there's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, those were her sisters. Unfortunately, they're no longer here. My Aunt Fern is on the left. My Aunt Faye is the second one in on the left. My Aunt Ruth sitting next to my mom. Then there's my mom. And then my Aunt Dorothy, or Dort, is on the far end. And those were my mom's sisters, and they came to visit us here in Las Vegas. And that's me and my mom in Las Vegas at the Wax Museum, having fun, retired. My brother got married in 2000, and we flew to Columbus, Ohio when he got married, and that's my mother and I at my brother's wedding. And then my mom, when I had my first house, she's cooking Thanksgiving dinner there. And in 2004, she got a new lease on life. And what that was that she always had a heart murmur in her heart valve. It always fluttered ever since she was a kid. But she needed to get triple bypass surgery. So they thought, well, when we do your triple bypass, we're also going to replace your heart valve. So in 2004, she had open heart surgery. And that completely changed her life, because before she had the heart surgery, she was declining greatly. She was having a hard time getting around, and she just didn't have any energy. But once she got that heart valve surgery and the heart bypass, she was like the Energizer Bunny, and basically saved her life and why she's still alive here at the age of 93. This is my mom after she had the surgery in her apartment here in Las Vegas. There's her piano. I told you about that. And she still played the piano and sang. My mother also continued to drive a car until she was 89 years old. At that point in time, I told her, we're not renewing your license, Mom. It's you're getting too old. So I started driving her everywhere. But I lived a mile away from her the whole time I was here when she was on her way. So if she ever needed anything, I was there to take care of her. Here we are at Christmas time one year. And then we went to visit my brother at his house in Columbus, Ohio. That's me, my mother in the middle, and my brother Doug on the right. And again, in the backyard of his house. And then again in his backyard. Of course, I'm rocking the Hawaiian shirt one more time. November 17th, 2011. Okay. This is a dark day in our history of our family. This is when I found out that my sister, Betsy, had passed away. Okay. She had been a public Scientologist. There she is right there. And she had been a public Scientologist all the way up. You know, she disconnected from me when I left in 1990. As a matter of fact, in my escape story, you'll hear I actually went to her house and her husband's house on my second escape attempt. And while I was sleeping, Mike Sutter and, the security, they showed up to take me back to the base. But she disconnected from me as any good Scientologist would. And so we didn't have any communication. But she stayed in touch with my mother because my mother had not really been in Scientology. So she was allowed to stay in touch with my mother. And I made an unwritten pact with my sister, basically. I never told her this, but I never told my mother about the abuses that I suffered under Miscavige or in Scientology, because I didn't want to ruin her relationship with my sister. My sister and her husband adopted a baby boy, and his name was Nicholas. And they were raising him as their own child. And my mother would go out to California to see my sister and Nicholas and that type of thing. And then around 2006, 2007, I started speaking out on the internet. This is, I did a Spy Files with Mark Headley on this and Aaron. But basically, I started speaking out, and Scientology, of course, had been monitoring me. And they decided they needed to get me to stop. So one of the ways they did it was they had my sister write a letter to my mother, basically telling her to make a choice, either stay in touch with her or disconnect from me. Okay. Now my mother, this is like 2009, 2008. No, it's 2008. This happened, right? My mother's like going, this has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me. Why do I have to make a choice? And I told my mom, look, you don't have to make a choice. And of course, I've been supporting and helping my mother at that point, 2008, for 9 years, right? And she was in Las Vegas. So what's she going to do? She told my sister, look, I don't want to have anything to do with this. So what did my sister do? They disconnected from her. They wrote a disconnection letter to my mother. They had Office of Special Affairs, your favorite, OSA smells like what, Denver Steve-O?
That'd be poo.
They smell like poo. They sent a FedEx letter, which I have a copy of. Actually, I have the original because it was sent to my mother. Basically, from my sister. It was sent from Los Angeles, but at the time, my sister lived in Florida, disconnecting from my mother because she wouldn't disconnect from me. So, that basically was it. She decided that she didn't want to have a connection with my mother. She cut her off from her adopted grandchild, but still grandchild. And they went on their merry ways to become patrons of the International Association of Scientologists and that type of thing. But anyway, back to the November 17th, 2011, my sister passed away. Okay. I went over this in another video I did with Karen Jans. But basically, she got colon cancer, and she was a public Scientologist in Clearwater, Florida. At the Flagland base along with her husband. And Scientologists, they don't believe in going to doctors, and colon cancer is one of the easiest cancers to, if you catch it early, to cure. Well, she didn't do that, and unfortunately she died in 2011. And she was, she was born in 56, so she was 44 and 11. She was 55 years old, and she died of colon cancer. Well, I didn't find out We didn't find out until 6 months later. They didn't even bother calling us, our family, his family, my sister's husband's family. They didn't bother calling any of us, right? So we found out. I found out on Facebook by looking. I was surfing through somebody's Facebook, and I saw that they were friends with my sister on Facebook, and I went, "Oh, that's interesting." So I went to my sister's Facebook page. Everybody was talking about her in the past tense, like she was gone. So I rolled all the way back to the prior November, and sure enough, there was an announcement she had passed away and she died of colon cancer and all that, and that her husband and son were doing fine and this and that and all that. So I had called my brother immediately, and he called the area where they lived, and he got a copy of the death certificate. And I had to tell my mother, that her daughter, her oldest child, had died. Nobody had the heart to tell us personally, even a letter, nothing. That's Scientology for you. Okay, that's the kind of abuse and crap that they do. So they didn't even bother telling us. But rest in peace, my sister. I don't hold any grudge against her. We always got along together great, but she was caught in the cult web, and basically did what they told her to do, and to be honest with you, it probably killed her because she never got the medical attention, I'm sure, that would have handled the colon cancer before she died, so she died way too young. And that was that. Anyway, so I had to tell my mother that, and my mom said to me, she was strong. My mother's a survivor. She told me, Mark, she goes, I lost Betsy, whatever it was, 3 years ago, when she wrote to me, and she said, disconnected from me. She said, at that point, I'd lost her already. So anyway, so that's the story of that. All right. My mom moved along over the years. This is her, like Mother's Day, Easter, that type of thing, right? This is me and her on her 90th birthday 3 years ago in her apartment. And I had just gotten Misha, my dog Misha. She was only like 4 months old. And here she is on that 90th birthday. And Misha is 4 months old in my mom's lap. And then on the right, you see, she went up to lick her face and we started laughing. My mom loves dogs. She loves dogs. She always used to take care of the dogs when we were kids. She was the one that fed them and walked them and all that. So anyway. And then this is my mother 2 days ago. She's still going strong. About a little over a year ago, she had a fall in her apartment and she was on the floor all night. I didn't know until the next day when I came to check on her. So at that point, it was decided, look, she needs to have 24-hour supervision. She's still actually in good health. Her mind is going, meaning she's not going crazy, but she doesn't remember things. It's just she's getting old. But she's in a really nice group home. I was shocked because we had no idea. It was one of my brother and I's biggest fears is, what are we going to do with mom when she gets old? Because I heard horror stories of other parents, people who pay thousands and thousands of dollars each month to take care of their parents. So we were lucky. We were able to find something that actually she could afford with her Social Security and her small pension. And then my brother and I help a little bit too, because it doesn't cover everything. So my brother and I pay for things, each month. And it's a beautiful home. It's an actual home that she's in, not like a hospital or facility. It's on an acre lot on a one-story home, and she's got her own room, and she's got her piano and her TV, and they feed her and they give her medication, and I can come take her out anytime I want to. And she's gotten used to it, but it's not, she would much rather not have to be there because there's other people there that are old. Some have died, but basically she's safe. And that's the most important thing to me and my brother. She's safe and she's well taken care of. And I go see her almost every day just to check on her and see how she's doing. And then tomorrow I'm going to take her out to lunch. This picture I took 2 days ago, I just taken her to get her hair done because that's really important to her. If anybody knows my mom, her image and how she looks is really important. So at 93 years old, I think she's still looking pretty good. So anyway, so I just wanted to tell my mother, happy 93rd birthday to my mom.
Yes.
And that's my mother's story. And that's how Scientology was involved in terms of tearing apart her family and her mind, breaking up her marriage, breaking her away from me for a time being, and then from actually, she never broke away from me because I never disconnected from her, and or my brother. She never disconnected from her, but it tore my sister away from her, and her grandchild, that type of thing. And my mom's a survivor. She made it on her own, and major props to her, because I think I get some of that from her, because I've had my ups and downs in life since I left the Sea Org, financially and otherwise. But I always try and keep a positive attitude. I always try and keep moving forward, and that's my mom. And so I get a lot of that from my mother. So anyway, I hope everybody appreciated that story. Do you have any comments, Steve? I know I've been talking.
No, and that's it's your mom's story, but no, it just make it, it's easy to take our loved ones, our older loved ones, for granted from time to time, and to hear your story. And I mean, I'll be candid with you. I'll be calling my mom tonight after this. So, but no, it's such she obviously a very strong woman, a very influential woman. She came up through that generation that did kind of do the house, we're housewife, and not that,
Right.
that was really all that they were allowed. It's a horrible word to say, but allowed to do at times, and to come up through that, but obviously then have to deal with the divorce and get back into the workforce and all of that. I mean, she strikes me as tenacious.
Yeah, it's kind of, just now thinking about it, it's kind of like Sea Org members when they leave and they have to start over with nothing. I was 32 when I had to start over. She was 46 years old,
Wow.
trying to start over. I mean start over, like no resume. What have you been doing the last 25 years? I've been a housewife.
Yeah.
Which is a full-time job, as any mother knows. Her biggest accomplishments in her mind is her 3 kids. Okay, my sister was successful as a piano teacher, and that my brother's a successful musician and union leader, and I've been successful. I was successful in Scientology, whatever that means. I was successful in Scientology, in management, and I rose to the top. I've been successful, and I've had my ups and downs out. But you know what? I'm 65, retired now, and living life. And you can't ask for much more than that. So I think she should be proud. Hopefully, she's proud of us, and that type of thing. The other thing I was going to mention that I realized is that, I've spent more time with my mother, okay, since she retired in 1999 and moved here to Las Vegas. Okay, it's 2023. That's 24 years that we've been together in Las Vegas. Okay, that's longer than from birth until I graduated and went to the Sea Org at age 17. Okay, so I've spent more time with my mother, quality time. You know what I mean? Since then.
Right.
And I'm sure everybody knows, it's part of the responsibility of being a son or daughter is that your parents are going to get old, and guess what? It's your responsibility to take care of them. And my brother and I have done that. My brother's in Ohio, but he helps and he calls, and I deal with her on a more routine basis. But I'm grateful for my brother and his support, and I know my mother is as well. But to anybody out there who's got parents that are getting elderly, just be prepared. There's always a solution, just so you know, because we were not financially ready for this at all. But the state of Nevada, to their credit, they stepped up. And I'm really proud of that, because they have safety nets for senior citizens and elderly who can't take care of themselves financially, right? It doesn't have to cost $8,000 or $10,000 a month. If your parents have money, unfortunately, that's what they're going to charge, because they got money. My mother didn't have money, okay, and my brother and I didn't have lots of money. So basically, we were able to get assistance from the state of Nevada. I was completely blown away, and you don't have to worry about it if you've got parents that are getting old. Just at the time, just research the options you have. And my biggest fear was that she was going to be out on her own, because I couldn't take care of her in my place and still work and do what I have to do. So there had to be a place that she could go, that they could take care of her 24 hours a day, and there is. So I just want people to know that, to not worry about it. Don't worry about your parents. There is a solution out there. If you're worried about an elderly Sea Org member or an elderly parent, there is help available. Anyway, that's what I got to say about that. All right, so let's move on. I wanted to let's raise the tone level, as they say in Scientology. Okay, we're going to go to your questions and answers. If you've got questions, put them in the chat. Write question. If you want to super sticker us or super chat us, you can. And before we do that, we're going to do a merchandise giveaway. Okay, and so you can get in the chat. If we're going to give away one of these mugs, okay, one of these our Scientology stories, peeling the onion. You have your choice of either the right Janice one, or you also on the other side there's one that says correct Mark. You can have either one of them, and we will give it away in the United States. We ship it in the United States. Okay, so if you're in the U.S., we'll ship it to you and give it to you for free. And Denver Steve-O, in honor of you, these white mugs come in 11 ounce and also in the big 15 ounce version. So we'll give away the 15 ouncer. Okay. We'll give away the big one. So if you're a big time coffee or tea drinker, you want to get in the chat there and merch me, please. Mug me, please.
Mug me, mug me, please.
I want to just show real quickly, okay, while you guys are getting in there, okay, we've got our merch store. If you go to our page, on our Scientology stories, there's a store, okay, where you just click on that, and we have all these different items that are available on our merchandise store. They support the channel, so if you're interested in that, please get on there. Some of the things you can get autographed copies of Janice's books. You've got both of those books, right, Steve-O?
Correct, Mark. I sure do. I absolutely do. I'm hiding back there in the dark on one of my bookshelves, but yes.
But anyway, you can get copies autographed to you, personalized at our merch store. Just go there and go ahead and buy it there, and you can put in what you want written in the book, and Janice will do it, and we'll ship it out to you. Okay, so that's available. If you want Koala Calm, which is the magnesium drink that Janice has that she sells that helps people sleep and de-stress and that type of thing, that's available in our store. It's $19.99 for that. You can have, there's 2 flavors, unflavored and apple cinnamon, but you can order that on our merch store. And then of course we've got the coffee mugs. These are the black ones that we've got. These are the white ones, right Janice or correct Mark. These are the ones we're giving away in the merch giveaway right now. We've got the Rock Slam Those Likes mouse pad. We've got the travel coffee mug. We've got T-shirts, G'day Mates, with the koala and a Hawaiian shirt logo that one of our viewers designed. We've got them for females as well. We've got our Rock Slammer T-shirt. If you're a rock slammer like me and the rest of us, you can definitely identify yourself with our T-shirts on the Rock Slammers. And then there's our Hawaiian shirt with our koala in a Hawaiian shirt pattern on the Hawaiian shirt. You can order that one. And then we've got a Mofo Mark Hawaiian shirt with the Mofo Mark logo. Okay, so all of these are available at our website, our store website. If you're interested, just check it out, order it away. And I wanted to mention that we have a 20% discount until tomorrow. At the end of tomorrow, Saturday the 23rd, you get a 20% discount on these white coffee mugs and also on the koala in the Hawaiian shirt T-shirts. Okay, either one of them, and we're doing that in honor of the fact that we hit 8,000 subscribers. We're actually up to 8,500 now. But anyway, so you get a 20% discount. The code at checkout is Team Onion, all one word, Team Onion, and you get the 20% discount. Okay, so enough of me talking about merchandise. Let's give away a mug. Okay,
yeah.
Since you are the guest host, you do the countdown, and I will just randomly click on somebody in our chat to win the mug. So whenever you want, you can count down from 5, and away we go.
Happily, I know a lot of folks already have theirs in, but please, what's the right term for it? Just blow up that chat.
Blow up the chat.
Blow up
rock
that
slam
chat.
the chat.
All right, we'll do a 5, 4, 3. Make it go faster. Make the chat go faster. 2, 1. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Betsy Sue.
Betsy Sue. Betsy Sue,
Congratulations,
mug
Betsy
me,
Sue.
please. Congratulations, Betsy Sue. You are the winner of your choice of the white coffee mug. You can either have Right Janice or Correct Mark on the other side, and you get the 15-ouncer one. So you get the big one. Okay.
Nice.
So Betsy Sue, what you need to do is email me at messengerondutymf@gmail.com with your contact information, meaning your name, the shipping address where I need to ship the mug, and also your email address so we can follow up with you. So it's name, address where you want it shipped, and then your email address. Just email me at messengerondutymf@gmail.com and we will order it and it'll be on your way to you. You'll probably get it in about a week to 10 days. And we hope that you enjoy it. And congratulations, Betsy Sue.
Yay, Betsy Sue.
Do you know who that is? I know she's a regular, right?
She is. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Betsy Sue is around.
And she says, thanks.
Yay. I also appreciate your email address there, Mark.
Oh, thank you. Well, originally I wanted to call the channel, I wanted to call it Messenger on Duty. That's what I wanted to call it.
Oh.
But Janice said, no, we should have Scientology. And I really wanted to be Peeling the Onion. So I came up with our Scientology stories. She goes, no, I like Peeling the Onion. I said, yeah, but then nobody will know that it's about Scientology. How about we put the two together? And that's how the name came about. Our Scientology stories, Peeling the Onion. And it's worked out great.
Absolutely.
Anyway, congratulations, Betsy Sue. All right, we're going to go to questions now. I'm going to go into the channel here and start asking. And then if you see any more to Star, we'll answer questions here for the next 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah,
we'll get
good.
all your questions, and then that'll be it. And we really appreciate y'all being here and your support. First question is from Dastardly Saboteur. He is a member of our channel. You can join by hitting that join button. It's different than subscribing. You get other benefits. Question, does Mama Fisher watch your channel? You know what? I've shown her bits of the channel, but unfortunately she's not capable of changing, using electronic devices like a clicker. You know what I mean? Basically, the channel has to be put on for her. She doesn't know how to use a cell phone and doesn't know how to use a computer anymore. She never really did anyway. So basically I have to call over, and she has access to cable TV and she watches different things, but she doesn't have access to the internet. But when I go over and see her, I'll show her stuff on the phone. So she sees some of it. She's aware of it. She's amazed at how many people, we've got almost 9,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, people, and you're watching this, please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And so would Janice. But anyway, thanks very much for that question.
And if you've subscribed to Mark and Janice's channel, but you haven't swung over and subscribed to @DenverStevo, please do so. We'd love to have you.
Okay, let's go here next. I'm just putting these up here. There we go. Michelle Norris. I think Danny Masterson's retrial shocked so many of us just how duplicitous they were in hiding Danny's crimes. Yeah, absolutely. You know, anybody who was in Scientology or in the Sea organization, they know that as soon as that was reported to the ethics officer, this Julian Schwartz or whoever, Danny Masterson and anybody involved were pulled in and interviewed, and Scientology knew exactly what happened by the end of the day or the end of, once they've done all the interviews. They knew everything about this, okay? That's how Scientology operates. They find out, and trust me, if you want to be a dedicated and continue being a Scientologist, you confess and you tell what you did. So they knew this all along, and they basically swept it under the rug all these years. And thank God this court, this jury, sided with the victims here, and this guy's in jail where he belongs, and I'm sorry for his young daughter and for his family, but unfortunately he needs to pay for his crime, and that's how it goes. And hopefully, if there's a grand jury or something that we were tipped off that there might have been, hopefully they're also looking into Scientology and their involvement in this, because I guarantee you they obstructed justice on this for many years. And that's not just me saying that. That's anybody who was ever in an executive position in Scientology or in a technical position. they know how that works. And nobody was surprised. Nobody was surprised. Everybody knew that they knew exactly what happened. So anyway, that's my opinion. Next. Cy Cove 1, your mom and I share the same birthday, not the same year. Wow, happy birthday to you too. I have a really good friend in Houston, Texas. Her name's Monica, and her birthday is the same as my mother's as well. So she's going to be 50 this year. She doesn't want me to say that probably, but anyway. But yeah, I have a good friend there, the same thing. And this is from Liz Ferris. Love you, Denver. Do you have a response?
Love you right back, Liz. Thank you.
Hi. And Goldie says, help Liz Ferris get to her first 1,000 subscribers at that address right there.
Pokemon and cults.
Liz says that she is 225 away from 100. From 1,000, sorry. So anyway, after you've subscribed to my channel and to Denver Steve-O's, go to Liz's as well and subscribe and get her over 1,000. That'd be great. Next, this is from Frankie. I really admire Stacy. I'm Stacy Young, Stacy Brooks, and saw some interviews. I'm looking forward to your stories about Stacy. She never appears on interviews anymore, and I don't know why. Stacy Young, just briefly, she was, when I went to the Rehabilitation Project Force, the one and only time in 1982, Stacy was in there as well, and she had been busted. She had been removed from author services by David Miscavige, and I was not working for Miscavige yet, but I had been sent down from the international base to the RPF in Los Angeles. Stacy was my twin, and when you're in the RPF, you have to get somebody that's similar position as you, and they become your twin, and you have to get each other through the program and graduate together. And Stacy and I were twins, and it bonded us for many, many years because we looked out for each other, we helped each other, we cried together, we laughed together, So anyway, so I was close to her and also her husband Vaughn, and then after they left, they started speaking out, like you said, and I used to go and see them, and to the consternation of OSA. And OSA is what, Steve-O?
What is OSA?
Yeah.
The Office of Special Affairs.
No, but OSA smells like. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, you threw me there. OSA is poo, but OSA smells like poo.
It smells like poo. But anyway,
that's right.
Yeah, including Mike Rinder and Mike Sutter and all that. But I used to go up and see them after those people came. So I was in touch with them all during those years. Anyway, she eventually got divorced from Vaughn, and she got hooked up with Bob Minton, the guy who was behind the Lisa McPherson Trust, which is a famous story about the woman who died in Scientology's care. And they ended up having to settle, Bob Minton and Stacy, who was having a relationship with Bob Minton at the time. They settled with Scientology, and that's why she's silent, because basically they had to sign peace agreements with them, and so she's silent. I haven't been in touch with her probably since 1999, unfortunately. Anyway, we'll do a video on her because there's a lot more details on that whole story. So thanks very much, Frankie. Danielle Chamberlain in the house. Hi, Danielle.
Hi, Danielle.
Question mark. Did you inherit it? Did you inherit any musical skills? Yeah, I inherited I can listen and do this, but basically, no, I tried playing guitar when I was a kid, and I have small hands. Okay. It was hard for me to make the reaches, and I gave up on it. Right now, I wish I had learned piano because I think I would have enjoyed that. My only musical skills was singing on the Road to Freedom. On the what is it? The We Stand Tall video. You know it, don't you, Denver Steve-O?
I know
what I'm
it.
talking about? Yeah, I'm in the second row, and at some point I'll do a freeze frame and put it on our channel. But I'm right there, standing right behind Mark Yeager and Ray Midoff at the time, and I'm sitting there singing "We Stand Tall." So that's my only musical
your
skill.
Sweater was nowhere near as bad as.
No, it wasn't. I had like just a plain blue crew neck sweater. That's what I had on. Anyway. Thanks, Danielle. And this is from Happy Quails. Would they take you forcibly if you refused to go? I guess you're talking about when they came to my sister's house to get me. No, not then, but they have you so mentally. I was completely, I thought I was going crazy, to be honest with you, because I knew I had to leave, but I didn't want to leave my wife. You're going through all these ping pong ball matches in your head. And so all they had to do was talk to me a little bit, and I agreed to come back, and I did, so that's it. But it wasn't until my final escape that I actually went to a motel and I called them up and I was deadly serious. I said, you either give me my stuff or I'm going to call the cops and I'm going to show up at the gate and you give me my stuff because I'm leaving for good. And they knew I was serious at that point. So that was the only time that did that. All right. Wendy Moore, Mark, your sister was darling. My heart aches that you have lost her. Love you, brah. Hey, brah. Hey, thank you very much, Wendy. You're from Hawaii. I know that, or lived in Hawaii. Yeah, I miss my sister too. She was very intelligent, good girl. But that's the cult of Scientology. That's the prison of belief, as Lawrence Wright wrote about it. Next question is from Betsy Sue. Question: how did the phrase "Osa smells like poo" originate? That's for you, Denver Steve.
It is for me. If you've ever stood by an OSA agent, what are they? Representative? I don't know what they're. I guess agent. We'll go with that. You'll know it to be true. And honestly, it just felt right to start saying, and then it picked up. Claire has a little kit that now has like a spray smell to freshen the OSA poo. There's no exciting story behind it. It was just something that sounded fun and right, and there it is.
Okay, Betsy Sue, thanks for that question. Next one is from let me click on it. Hold on, show it. There we go. No, still not working. Let me try this one.
You don't see it?
Here we go. Happy Quails. I found out that we have to be prepared for anything when we look up people we haven't heard from in a long time when we get older. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, I literally was looking for something else and ran across my sister, and I thought, let me check and see what she's up to. And that's when I found out the news. But yeah, you got to be prepared when you're looking for information. This was a comment from Danielle again. I'm gutted for you, Mark, and your dear mom. It's so effed up and cruel. Absolutely. Thanks very much for your support, Danielle. And we did a video of her and her time on the flagship Apollo. So on our channel, if you haven't seen it already, you should watch it. It's on our channel. It's a great, great interview. And we're going to do more with Danielle as well. Betsy Sue, that's great that you still have your mom to get your hair done. You're such a good son, Mark. Thanks very much. It's the one duty that I have with her, to take her out, and she enjoys it, and we do it when we can afford it. It's unfortunately most of her money, if not all, is taken up by her care. So we wait until we have enough money so that she can get her hair done, and then we go and get it done, and it makes her feel good. So anyway, thanks very much, Betsy Sue. We got a super sticker from Genome. Thank you very much. That's very generous of you. We appreciate it. What happened to you, Denver Steve-O? I will carry on, and hopefully he will come back in. Jenna from Cali, Denver Steve-O, I just wanted you to know. Here he comes. He's back in. We lost you somehow. I don't know how, but anyway.
I kicked myself out in chat.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I accidentally kicked myself out.
That's okay. That's okay. Denver Steve-O, this is from Jenna from Cali. I just wanted you to know you're the easiest guy to sleep with. You don't roll around too much. I've never get kicked in the leg, and it's so peaceful. You're very generous. Why don't I explain to people what that means, sleeping with Denver Steve-O?
That's very sweet of you, Jenna from Cali. Absolutely. Every Monday night or Tuesday morning, midnight Eastern time, we do what's called Sleeping with Steve-O on my channel. Essentially what I do is I turn down the lights, I play some sounds, some music, I walk away. Don't worry, you're not watching me sleep, none of that. You just get to kind of hang. And what we do is we open up the chat for the night. So with the sounds and the music, if it's something you just want to put your phone or your iPad or whatever by your bed and just listen to fall asleep, you absolutely can do that. If you want to actually chat in the chat with folks that are up late US time, so that often means Europeans and Australians being in the chat along with any insomniacs out there, But it's just we open up the chat that night, and we just call it Sleeping with Steve-O because it's on my channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Jenna from Cali. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jenna.
And I think I already did that. Here's the next one. Okay. Sorry. Observer Dingue. Wow. Happy birthday to your mom and greetings from England. Thank you for sharing your personal history to random eavesdroppers like me. A fascinating history and very well told. Wow. Hey, thanks very much for that comment. I really appreciate it. And we appreciate you watching. That's for sure. So thanks very much. If you haven't subscribed to my channel and also Steve-O's, please hit that subscribe button and also click the like button because it helps us get the word out to other people. So thanks very much. Next one is right here. Why is this not? There we go. Gamer Jackie. Oh, Mark, you're a sweet baby. All those big smiles. LOL. Yeah, I've always had a good smile. And I'm always rocking the Hawaiian shirt. I think I don't have photographs of me in my diapers and a Hawaiian print. Jenna from Cali. By the way, at some point, watch True Crime Loser. He is doing a show called Scientology starting to collapse. I cannot stop crying because I'm laughing so hard after you watch all the SPTV shows you watch. Yeah, we try and laugh it off, and laughter is a great remedy and a great medicine for lots of these different things. So they could be serious subjects, but we have a good time also laughing how crazy some of the stuff was that we had to do. Anyway. All right. Betsy Sue says, I can't decide whether to get right Janice or correct Mark. Opinions. Betsy Sue, if you want, we're going to give you one of them. And then if you'd like, you can buy the other one with the discount that we have tomorrow. So if you want, let me know which one you bought and buy the other one, and you don't have to choose. But what do you think, Denver Steve-O?
When I saw the question and I started it, that was going to be my answer. So absolutely. No, seriously, it's get it before tomorrow. You get the 20% off on the one, and you get the other one for free. So absolutely. You have the full set.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Betsy Sue. All right. Next, Evelyn Lee Barney. Question for Mark. How is it that your sister disconnected, but not you and your brother? Does COS pick and choose who to pressure? Well, what happened was I disconnected and my sister disconnected from my father and my brother when we were still in Scientology. So you're required when you're in Scientology to disconnect from anybody who is a declared suppressive person. And my father and my brother actually were declared with an issue and everything. Okay. So we disconnected. Right. Then when I left Scientology in 1990, she had to disconnect from me as well because you're not allowed to be in touch with somebody who's left the international management base, and I was going to be declared a suppressive person, and I was, and I have my issue and all that. So basically that's what happened. I reconnected with my brother and my dad after I got out because there's no requirement. I'm no longer a Scientologist. There's no requirement why I couldn't get back in communication with them. So that's what I had. But yeah, Scientology and Scientologists pick and choose who it is that they're going to communicate with. So anyway, thanks very much for that question, Evelyn. And we got this from, there it is. Roxy Alamito, I love your channel. Denver Steve-O, hope your channel grows. Yeah, me too.
Absolutely. Thank you, Roxy. Roxy is a regular over on my side, and it's great to
fabulous.
Great to have Roxy here. So,
and then Goldie says, join Denver Steve-O for Xenu Nation this Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and that's the link for that. Do we have any other questions in the chat?
We just let's see. Betsy Sue just asked.
Oh yeah, I got it right here. I got it right here.
Oops.
Sorry.
We double tapped. It's all you.
Trying to put it up. There we go. Betsy Sue question. Is your sister Betsy short for Elizabeth, or is she Betsy on the birth certificate? I'm a Betsy on the birth certificate. Betsy Sue, my sister, it was a Betsy on the birth certificate. Yeah, her name was Betsy Lee Fisher. Lee was her middle name. But yeah, she's a Betsy, not Elizabeth. Anyway. So that's that. She used to hate it when she was a kid because the kids at schools would tease her, Betsy Wetsy, Betsy Wetsy. Kids are cruel sometimes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks very much for that, Betsy Sue. All right, everybody. So we are reaching the end here, and we appreciate it. I wanted to run down the business. Please subscribe to our channel, at Mark Fisher and Janice Gillum Grady, and watch some of our other videos. We got great historical videos, different interviews and stuff. I think you'll enjoy them. You can become a member of our channel by clicking the join button. It's different than subscribing. You actually get perks. Denver Steve-O is a member of our channel. He's a peeling master, which is our top level. And not only did Denver Steve-O, when you become a peeling master, you get an autographed copy of Janice's book as part of the membership. But Denver Steve-O, we do one-on-one live streams with you, right? We just did one yesterday.
We just did one yesterday. Yeah, it's great. We once a month.
Every month, once a month.
You get to connect with Mark and Janice and ask specific questions if you got them, and just kind of talk, learn what they have planned coming up. It's a fantastic. I told you before, Mark, this is the first YouTube channel that I've ever subscribed to, and it remains to this day the only YouTube channel that I've subscribed to. And some great perks. There's every once in a while, Mark will throw in some old pictures or even some more contemporary pictures that, hey guys, check this out. Only you are going to get to see this, and it's pretty fun. So it's absolutely.
Yeah. And then the other thing too is, we do those live one-on-one streams every month, and the thing is that it's not a contract or anything like that. It's just a subscription, and it's monthly. You can cancel at any time. So if you don't like it or you can't afford it anymore, look, our lowest level as a peeling supporter is $3.99 a month, so it's not super expensive. And our peeling master at the top, I think, is $19.99. You get a copy of the book, and then also we do the monthly one-on-ones, and it's all to support the channel. So if you want to be a member, click that join button. Just follow the instructions from YouTube. It's really simple. So thanks very much for everybody's support on that. And then if you have any questions that we failed to answer, or if you're a replay watcher and you want to ask some questions, just ask in the comment sections below this video. And I check them 2-3 times a day, all the time, and I answer them, everyone. So anyway, if you have a question, please ask in the question section. Denver Steve-O, I wanted to thank you for co-hosting with me. I know you didn't have a lot to do. You were moderating and all that, but I appreciate you being here, my friend.
Happy to be here. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for inviting me to share your mother's 93rd birthday with us, with you and us. I had a lot of fun. And if you are here on Mark and Janice's channel, please check out Denver Steve-O. That's the name of the channel. Right. Check it out. Watch my videos too. I've got some good videos out there. And as Goldie had said, we've got Xenu Nation coming up tomorrow. We do Xenu Nation right now twice a week, and love to have you on the other side. Love to have you visit my side as well. So thank you all, and thank you, Mark.
Absolutely. One other thing I was going to mention, we're doing another interview with Biddy Miscavige on Sunday. Janice gets back tomorrow, and we're going to do another live interview with Biddy Miscavige, and we're going to talk. The subject's going to be working with David Miscavige and what's that like. I did it for 6 years. Biddy did it for many years. Janice knew David Miscavige. So that's going to be one you're going to want to listen to. Okay, we're going to talk about that. We have some other really cool interviews coming up as well. I don't know, some of you viewers may have heard that about the story that the operating Thetan levels, the confidential levels, they were stolen in the early 1980s. Some people posed as missionaries in uniform and went into the Scientology organization in Copenhagen, and they actually went in and they stole the materials, and that's how they got out on the internet, and years later and all that. Anyway, we have an interview with the gentleman who did that. He's a friend of Janice and also somebody I know. He's an ex-Sea Org member, and he's done an actual edited video, just like the ones that was done for Surge. where he's edited it together, talked about his family history and all that. And so that's coming up shortly. It's about a 50-minute video we're going to be putting out, and then we're going to be doing a live Q&A afterwards, probably a day or two afterwards, so people can ask questions. But he's going to go into the whole story of how those materials, why they took them and how they took them. He actually went to jail afterwards. Scientology put him in jail for stealing them. So anyway, that's coming up as well. So we got a lot of other cool stuff coming up on our channel.
Very nice.
Anything else, Denver Steve-O?
You know, I just have to post this one because I have to. Maybe if I can click it.
There it is.
Oh, there it was.
Almost. Oh, Jenna from Cali. Steve is a sexy man, so this was fun.
I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. Thank you, Jenna. That was
it must be the Hawaiian shirt. Okay.
It has to be. Has to be. Absolutely. So
anyway, thanks very much, Jenna. Thanks you very much, everybody, and we will see you on our next video. Stick around, Steve. I'm just going to end the video, and we'll talk in a second. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.